Joe, the University of Georgia, a massive game, week 1 game, yes, is taking on the University of Marshall. We are Marshall. Go ahead. What do you think about this game? Georgia going up against Marshall. Big time, prime time game here for the Georgia Bulldogs.
I think it's Marshall University. So, look, we're talking about this game purely because I feel like, Blake, I wanted to revisit and talk about Georgia before the season started because I feel like there's been a lot of negativity about this Georgia team.
You think?
It feels like a lot of outlets. We were talking about how some outlets are piling on Notre Dame. I feel like a lot of outlets are counting out Georgia right now. And I don't get it. What has changed? What has changed? This roster that they have is tremendously deep and gifted. Of course, we're getting the coach speak from Kirby Smart during practice and during media availability, trying to make it seem like they're not doing enough. But, dude, this team reloaded at receiver. They have a quarterback that I think fits their offense better than what Carson Beck was. And they're too deep at every single position group on defense is comically deep. Now, if we're focusing on, though, Blake, what we're paying attention to, the first and foremost important thing is can they hit the ground running without any issues with Gunner Stockton? I think that there's a lot of questions swirling on like who he is. Can he be Stetson Bennett-ish, or is he going to be 3 rungs below him? Sounds like Noah Thomas has been doing great in camp, and there's hopes that like Zachariah Branch can be just as impactful. Can we get some splash plays out of this game? Can they get the starters off their starters are going to be off the field early, of course, but I want to see smoothness in a situation where there probably should be.
What's the difference in Arch Manning throwing 2 interceptions versus a team versus what we saw from Gunner Stockton against Notre Dame, who played for a national title? Don't give me the one guy's more talented. When we're talking about literally expecting on what they can do, I feel as if that Gunner Stockton, because of what happened against Notre Dame, which they couldn't run the ball, Joe, they didn't protect him. He got blamed for his protection. So he got blamed for the fumble that happened. Who was it? Alsbury that knocked the fumble out. I forget who recovered it. He got blamed for everything. However, he does have to show and rebound. Now, I am not in the camp that's going to just throw him out with the bathwater and say that he can't get this done. But you hit the nail on the head. I just do not believe that Kirby is going to allow, in back-to-back years, their offensive line to be atrocious in running the football. I can't imagine it. The big thing coming out of camp for Georgia and some things that I read was that they really like their offensive line. And because they've gotten some push, it's made Kirby worry about his defense he got a lot of new dudes up there. But he's trying to be cautiously optimistic. If you can run the football, you can control the game. And that is the predicate when you look at Bobo's offense and what he wants to do. If you're not going to run the football, Joe, nobody's going to bite off the play action for you to get a leak out to the tight end because they don't care. You don't have to walk somebody down when you could stop the run. It's what Ole Miss did. I mean, Ole Miss literally a year ago walked nobody down and said, you cannot beat our front 7. You can't beat our front 6. We're going to take it to your ass, and you're not going to do anything about it. I look at this situation and say, I agree with you. I'm letting Gunner Stockton go loose and run loose. Get the run game going. Joe, if they look good offensively, I think a lot of people are going to start coming back to form here on Georgia. But I'm not out on Gunner Stockton at all. I think too much has been made about him. And was he not a former 5-star recruit his damn self?
No. Gunner was not a 5-star.
When he was a highly recruited kid, though. I mean, because Saban talked about he tried to recruit him, and the kid just was never going to leave the state of Georgia. Just was not going to happen.
Pulling up his 247 profile. He was a 4-star. He was the number 7 quarterback.
Okay.
in the class. He was the number 100. So he was highly recruited, like the typical pocket of Georgia quarterbacks that they pull.
Yeah. Come on. Let's not do this.
Yeah.
Here's another thing too.
Yep.
Marshall's replacing their entire coaching staff
and roster.
Correct.
And roster. The whole. I mean, go look at their two deep. Go look at their whole two deep. It's all transfers coming in. This Marshall team's bad. There's no reason to think that this Marshall team is going to sneak up on the University of Georgia. That's not going to happen in any situation. If anyone wasn't paying attention last year or doesn't pay close attention to G5 happenings, there was a whole issue with the last coach who did a tremendous job. He beat Notre Dame. They had a great record last year. I believe. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Stop laughing. Georgia lost to Notre Dame, so let's all come circling down.
Oh, God.
So great. He beat Notre Dame in Marcus Freeman.
National titles.
Okay. Settle down over there. Beat Notre Dame in Marcus Freeman's first season. And stop laughing. And last year, they were one of the best teams in the Sun Belt. Despite this, they did not come to terms on like a contract agreement. So what he did is he packed up and he left and he went to Southern Miss and he brought all of his players with him. This is a makeshift team that was put together. Their starting right guard's name is Jalen Slappy, by the way, which is an awesome name. But there is no reason to fear this Marshall squad. I'm just more focused on, as you just talked about there with Gunner Stockton, and I'm also kind of curious, like, does anybody quickly emerge on defense? They're trying to figure out their defensive line rotation. I feel like we know Christian Miller is a dude. Jordan Hall is a tremendous player, but who are those other guys that are going to get into the mix? As we always know that Kirby has lots of different guys and different bodies that he likes to bring in on the defensive line. Which of those backup depth players are going to be strong enough to contribute? Do we get to see Elijah Griffin step onto the field as a true freshman? Elo Medozi is getting a lot of hype right now coming from Army. How explosive and how talented is that kid?
They're really high on him.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know that you can play if you're coming from Army and Kirby's going after you and naming you a starter. I mean, here's the real truth. What do they have in him? Because Kirby's
an athlete.
Right. And you know Kirby's going to love the kid because he played in Army. It's the most Nick Saban thing of all time. It's the most Nick Saban thing of all time. I mean, let's just be honest. Last thing for me on this game, we'll kind of talk about some week one stuff here. Joe, if Brian Robinson does not have over 120 yards, I'm going to freak out.
Why?
Because you better be able to run the ball. They can't figure out their defensive line.
Do you mean Nate Frazier?
I mean, let's say
Brian Robinson.
If Nate Frazier does not run for 120 yards, I'm going to freak out. Because, listen, you want people to be off your bandwagon? Don't run the football. You cannot help out Gunner Stockton without it. The thing that, listen, I don't care how good, bad Gunner Stockton is. The one thing that I think has been missed from Georgia fans, I don't think Carson Beck is bad. I just think he had way too many turnovers. Joe, he had 16 turnovers last year. He threw 12 interceptions. The simple fact that Georgia, Joe, they had 9 turnovers in 3 ranked games against top 10 opponents. 9 interceptions. And they went 2-1. Or 1-2 because of it. Excuse me. I flipped that. You lost to Alabama. You lost to Ole Miss. You can't keep doing it. You better find a way to run the football. And I don't think Gunner Stockton does that. I really don't.
I think that's also like a really strong talking point, and it kind of flows into this whole conversation of trying to figure out what this new look offense looks like for Georgia. You have a redone running back room after Etienne moved on to the NFL. Frazier was productive in the spots that he stepped in. They brought in the gigantic dump truck Josh McCray from Illinois. And Bo Walker, some caught my throat there. Bo Walker, the freshman, has been making some buzz in camp. But that was a big contention point for us last year, Blake, that we kept bringing up. Why wasn't Bobo trying to establish the run early. And a lot of the excuses that were made were, well, they don't trust the interior of their offensive line. They don't trust the push that they're getting in the line of scrimmage. At a certain point, you got to man up and you got to just run people over. From the jump, Georgia was not focused and having an intent of trying to develop and open up their offense by being run first. That was why Carson Beck was so good in his first year, and then he struggled in his second, because they got completely away from that. I do not think that Gunner Stockton is the type of guy that is going to just be able to play freely if he's throwing the ball 100 times a game. Probably not going to need to throw the ball that many times in this game, but if we're, as you're saying, already off the bat against Marshall, getting away from balance, the balance that has established the offensive identity that has led to you winning national championships, if you're getting away from that, that causes problems.